friends, today we'll be making this authentic coconut rice with chicken stir fry. Hang on, let's start doing that. In my pot, I've got some chicken thigh whose skin has been taken off, and I took my time to cut it into those strips. Okay. Next, I added chicken seasoning, a little bit of curry powder, 2 bay leaves, dry thyme, and the salt. I'm going to be adding some onions as well, and I'll go in and mix in this thing very well before transferring the pot onto my cooktop to start cooking without adding any water. So over here is my rice. I have parboiled this about, let's say, 2 hours back, and it's totally cooled down. Okay, it's not cooked, it's only parboiled for maybe 3 minutes and washed thoroughly. Okay, so over here is the chief of staff, which is like our coconut. Normally I make my coconut rice with this packs. From the label it says it contains only coconut milk, but today I decided to try using fresh coconut since I was able to find some, and I'll be giving you my honest review. Okay, so there I've got 2 coconut heads, and I'll start to take them apart now. Meanwhile, this is what hubby taught me recently, and it makes sense. When you have coconuts at the tail end of the skull like this, what you can do is just use your knife and slice on it into tiny pieces, and it begins to fall off. Yeah, it works, and it did work here, just so as to so in case you struggle with that, this is something you can do. Okay, so next I'll begin to chop it into smaller pieces that my blender can handle. Okay, my blender is not really that strong, so I need to cut it into small pieces. Meanwhile, our chicken has boiled at some beautiful, gorgeous stock. Yeah, so that's all we need for our cooking. What I can do next is just cover it and turn down the stove, and go ahead and attend to our coconut and extracting the milk. I poured in enough water and gave it a rinse, and then transferred into my blender, and I'll be blending it up in a bit. Meanwhile, while I'm on it, I'll be grabbing a bit of the coconut for snack, and as well I have the coconut water that came out from it, one of my favorite. Yeah, meanwhile I went ahead to pour in fresh water, about 2.5 cups into that blender. So you need enough water to get your blender moving very well. Okay, and I didn't use so much water for this. I'll tell you why in a bit. What I'm doing here is sieving out the milk, the main thing for this recipe. So after the extraction, this is the amount of milk I have here. Okay, I mentioned to us that I didn't use a lot of water to do this. My reason is I need to be able to reuse that coconut again. You know, I have 2 whole heads of coconut, and I love to make things easier for myself in my kitchen. So you can see that has a lot of coconut juice inside it still. So what I'll do is pour it in Ziploc bags and put in the freezer. Next time when I'll be making coconut rice, all I need to do is reblend it and then wash out every fluid from it to use to cook. Okay, that's the idea. Meanwhile, in that bowl, I've got about 2.5 cups of this milk, which is enough to cook my rice. I'm boiling about 3 to 4 cups of rice, and that should be enough, including the chicken stock. So over here, guys, is one of the major ingredients for this recipe. You need a lot of dry fish, you need crayfish, but here in the diaspora, it's easy to run out of ingredients. So since I'm out of crayfish, I'll be adding some stockfish to it as well, and then that catfish you're looking at. Feel free to use as much dry fish as you can afford. Okay, and to intensify the flavor of that fish, I'm going to be taking it apart and blending it alongside that thumb of ginger that I've cut up into tiny pieces. Okay, so I will mince it up and blend them together. Meanwhile, this is only the amount of stockfish I'm using, as you don't want stockfish to overpower the rest of the ingredients in this recipe. Okay, we want to be able to still taste the coconut, the dry fish, everything should blend together harmoniously, right? Meanwhile, here I've blended up the fish and the ginger, and that's what we're getting. The aroma is heavenly. So I'll set that aside and move on. Here we have some of that onions that I used in garnishing the meat, and I also have a green and red bell pepper alongside one big carrot stick. That is what we'll be using for our stir fry, and we'll be using this organic virgin coconut as well. That is our oil for the day. And then I have some minced garlic in there, and of course the blended fish and ginger. And that's it for our major ingredients. Every other thing I'll be using for this cooking will be my spices, which are optional. You can always switch for what you have in your house. And then of course salt. So now that our vegetable is all prepped, we'll go ahead in this pot and start the cooking process. Yeah, I'll be scooping in about 2 tablespoons of the coconut oil, and then I'll get that to melt in. Next, while the oil is hot, when the oil is hot enough, I pour in the sliced onions, and then I'll be sauteing that on a medium to high heat. Okay, and then after a couple of seconds, I added that amount of garlic. Feel free to use more if you tolerate more garlic. And then I'll saute that until it gets those beautiful browning on the edges of the onions. Yeah, but not for it to get burnt. Then I went in to pour in the rice, and I began to toast it on a medium to high heat, just like when I started to saute the onions. I'll be doing that for exactly 4 minutes before I'll be adding the chicken stock we boiled out earlier. So once I'm done with that, I'll go in and then mix it in very well. Next, I'll get our coconut milk, and before we continue, guys, you can make this milk out and save in your fridge ahead of time. You can actually make it days ahead and save. I think that is exactly what myself will be doing henceforth. Meanwhile, the rice, I try to cover the rice with the milk. We're cooking it with just this milk like I told us. And then since the rice is already pre-cooked, it's not going to take us so much time. So at this point, and with the level of fluid in it, I poured in the blended dry fish and ginger, and then the stockfish. This food does not require lots of spicing, okay? And then I went in now to cover it and allowed it to come to a boil. And when it started boiling, I tasted for salt. And then I found that I needed to add a little bit more. Apart from the stock cube I added to the chicken, you will note that so far I've not added any other stock cube to this. So I needed to add more from the milk. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead now and cover it up again to cook properly. This time I'm going to be reducing the heat from 7 down to somewhere between 5 and 4, and then I'm going to be covering it with this baking sheet for say 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, you can see the water has gone down considerably. So I went in to gently mix it together just so that every single one of the ingredients is well combined. And then I checked and the rice is cooked at this point. So I took away the baking sheet and covered the pot, just the lid, so that the water in it can have time to evaporate. Okay, so after a couple of minutes, say 3-4 minutes, our rice was ready. Okay, you will note that it's very fluffy, but at the same time some of those coconut juice is still on it. Perfect. So now we have achieved our white coconut rice. I'm going to go ahead in a bit to start our chicken stir fry. So for the stir fry, I'm going to use just this amount of oil, which is not up to a tablespoon. I'm going to allow that to melt in and get warm enough. And then you will notice that so far I haven't used much pepper in this cooking. Okay, yeah, I will do that in this stir fry so that my son can enjoy the coconut rice. I've added half a teaspoon of onion powder instead of slicing fresh onions. I also added like almost a tablespoon of cayenne pepper, and then half a teaspoon of paprika powder. I mixed that together and then I threw in the carrots first because they are the hardest, right? I'll saute that for not more than a minute since we don't want it to get soggy still. Then I poured in the chicken we boiled earlier so that the fluid, the juice from the chicken will also get into this whole mix. I'm going to gently combine everything together, pan frying it in the process. I have this tomato sauce in the fridge. I just decided to scoop in a few, maybe about a tablespoon of it, just for that extra flavor. You can skip that, it's not a problem. You can also decide to use your what's the name, you can use soy sauce or any of those marinade sauces. Yeah, but I wanted to really keep this very simple, reason you wouldn't see me add that. So I just poured in the sliced bell peppers lastly, and I'm going to saute that for not more than a minute, 2 minutes, until it gets translucent. Okay, it will be translucent, but it's not going to get soggy. So I added a little bit more pepper and then a little bit more salt, and that was all. So the juice from the chicken had its own flavor, remember? So everything just came together, and then it's very spicy. It will be a great complement for the rice. It's just like when you have rice and you have a sauce on the side to eat it with. So at this point, I'm rushing to go pick my boy up from school, but I have to taste this food for you guys. Okay, I have just I have just the coconut rice here, just to taste it and let you guys know the difference. Oh my god. Oh my god. Guys, I have not had this kind of coconut rice in years. You know why? Growing up, I had 3 elder sisters, so cooking in my house, especially when it comes to special things like this, was handled by my elder sisters. So I watched them cook it, but I've never really made one myself from scratch with fresh coconut. And then I got married and moved to Norway, and I've always used the one in pack, but this, oh my god, I'm so happy I tried this. Oh my god, it is not the same. Like, please don't compare it. Never compare it. If you have the time, make your coconut rice with fresh coconuts. They're better. What you can do is get your milk out and save in the fridge ahead of time. That way you can easily grab it when you're ready to make it. Oh my god, oh my god, I'm blown away. Like, wow. I bet, let me go and pick my son. So guys, with that, we came to the end of today's yummy episode. You can see that there's a huge difference between using the two types of coconut milk, the pre-packed and the fresh coconut. Oh my god, the taste is calling me to try again, but I have to go pick my son. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope I don't have anything on my lips. Okay, thank you so much guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.